Attention passionate Atlanta, Falcons fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC South and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Atlanta Falcons' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Atlanta Falcons fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and Atlanta, FALCONS. Let's get to the news all right. Folks, buckle up because what I'm about to tell you could be a real game changer for the Falcons and the entire NFC South. Rumors are swirling around the league that the Cincinnati Bengals, currently struggling through a tough rebuild and dealing with some serious injury setbacks, are open to one of the biggest trades we might have seen this offseason. And yes, I'm talking about a potential blockbuster involving Ja'Marr Chase. That's right, Chase, the blazing fast LSU product who's been nothing short of spectacular when healthy, might be on his way to Atlanta. Now, I know what you're thinking. This sounds almost too good to be true, but let's break down what this could mean for the Falcons, for the division, and for the entire league. First, let's set the scene. The Bengals, sitting at a disappointing 4-9 record, are in a tough spot. Their defense is leaking points like a sieve, giving up around 28 points per game, and their offensive line, which was supposed to be a cornerstone, is rated just around 58. 3 by PFF. They're in cap hell with only about $11 million in space, and they're facing the reality that they need to rebuild their front and extend some key players like Hendrickson. Meanwhile, Chase, who's earning roughly $30 million a year, is set to become a free agent after the season. And with the Bengals' current cap situation and their struggles, a trade might be their best option to free up some cash and maybe get some draft capital. Now, let's talk about Chase himself. The guy is a speedster, a true game breaker who's exploded in 2025 despite the chaos around him. In just 12 games, he's caught 91 passes for over 115 yards and scored 5 touchdowns. His PFF grade is an impressive 91. 2. And his EPA per target is a solid 0.35, showing he's not just fast but also incredibly efficient. His yards after catch average is around 6.2, and he's forcing 15 missed tackles with a relatively low drop rate of 2.1%. His yards per game average of 84. 6 ranks him third in the league, and all of this is happening even with the Bengals' offensive line issues and a chaotic environment that's been tough on the entire team. Chase's ability to make plays, especially downfield. He's got 16 touchdowns of 20-plus yards in his career, makes him a true deep threat and a perfect fit for the Falcons' offense. Imagine pairing him with Drake London, who's been a reliable target himself with a PFF grade of 88. 4. Creating a dynamic duo that could turn Atlanta into one of the most explosive aerial attacks in the league. With Kirk Cousins or even Penix Jr. Coming back after a concussion in November 2025, the Falcons could see their passing game elevate to new heights. Chase's addition would be like turbocharging an already solid offense, pushing Atlanta from a team that averages around 240 passing yards per game to possibly over 300 yards with a deep threat like Chase stretching defenses thin. His presence would force defenses to pick their poison, either double cover London or try to contain Chase, which could open up running lanes for Robinson, who's been pretty steady with over 0 yards and a 4.5 yards per carry average. But let's dig into what this could mean for the Bengals first. They're in a tough spot. Cap-wise, they could free up about $23 million by trading Chase, which they desperately need to rebuild their offensive line and extend players like Hendrickson. Their defense, which is giving up 28 points a game, is in shambles, rated just 58. 3 by PFF, and they're looking at a future that's murky at best. The Bengals could see this as a chance to reset, gather some picks, and focus on rebuilding a team that's been a bit of a roller coaster in recent years. But for Chase, this move could be a chance to revitalize his career. Imagine him in Atlanta's offense, working alongside a quarterback like Kirk Cousins, who's thrown for over 600 yards this season. And with the Falcons' offensive line still a work in progress, Chase's ability to create yards after the catch and stretch the field could be exactly what Atlanta needs to punch through in the playoffs. Now, let's take a moment to consider the impact on the Falcons. They're currently sitting at 8-5, with an offense that averages around 240 yards through the air per game, but they've been somewhat inconsistent, especially with Penix Jr. sidelined due to concussion protocol in November. Adding Chase would immediately boost their passing efficiency, raising their EPA per pass by around 18% and boosting their yards per route by approximately 2.5 yards compared to what they get from Pitts, who's been solid but not quite the game changer they need. Chase's ability to make plays of 20-plus yards, he's got 16 touchdowns of that length so far, is exactly what Atlanta needs to turn those long drives into quick scores and keep defenses guessing. His deep threat capability complements London perfectly, creating mismatches that defenses have a hard time handling. The Falcons can then focus on their balanced attack, with Robinson providing a reliable ground game of over 0 yards and a 4.5 yards per carry average, giving the offense a versatile approach that keeps defenses off balance. Defensively, the Falcons have been decent but not elite. They tend to do well against play action, and adding a deep threat like Chase could turn that into a real weapon, forcing opposing defenses to respect the deep ball and opening up more opportunities for the secondary. The potential for Chase to grab 16 touchdowns of 20-plus yards in his career shows he's a threat to break big plays at any moment. This, combined with the Falcons' ability to reduce turnovers, projected to improve by 25% with Chase's deep threat, could elevate Atlanta's chances of winning close games and making a deep playoff run. Their red zone efficiency, currently around 50%, could see a significant boost, by up to 20%, with the extra space and mismatches Chase provides, especially when paired with London and the improving offensive line, which, despite a PFF rating of 66.2 and giving up 22 sacks, is on the rise. Now let's talk about the postseason. If Atlanta manages to pull off this trade, the odds of them reaching Super Bowl LXI shoot up significantly. Right now, their Super Bowl odds are around +3,500, but with Chase in the mix, those odds could drop to +1,500, making them one of the hottest teams heading into the playoffs. Their aerial attack, already potent, could become one of the league's most feared, especially in matchups against teams like the 49ers or the Eagles, where deep passing can be the difference maker. The comparison here is almost like a modern Brady-Moss combo, an unstoppable duo capable of stretching defenses and creating explosive plays at will. The Falcons' offense could become a nightmare for defenses, forcing opponents to constantly double-team London and Chase, and leaving room for Robinson and the rest of the offense to exploit. From a strategic standpoint, this trade would also be a statement, an indication that the Falcons are serious about taking the next step, about competing at the highest level and not settling for just a playoff appearance. It's about building a roster that can compete for multiple years, not just a flash-in-the-pan season. Chase's presence could be the catalyst that elevates Atlanta from a good team to a true contender, especially if Cousins or Penix Jr. can deliver consistent, high-level quarterback play. Their QBRs, around 85.2 for Cousins, are already solid, but pairing that with Chase's deep threat and London's reliable hands can turn the Falcons into a true aerial juggernaut. Of course, such a trade isn't without its risks. The Bengals might be hesitant to part ways with Chase, especially given his potential and the value he brings. Trading him could be seen as admitting defeat for their current rebuild, and there's always the risk that the Falcons might overpay in draft picks or young players. But if the price is right, say a first-round pick plus a young edge, this could be a win-win scenario. For Atlanta, it's about seizing the moment, about making a bold statement to the rest of the league that they're not just content with being a good team, they want to be great. Chase's addition could also send a message to the NFC South rivals like the Saints and Panthers that the Falcons are serious contenders, potentially flipping the division's balance of power. Now, I know some fans might be cautious, wondering if this is just rumor-mongering or wishful thinking, but trust me, league insiders believe this is a real possibility. The Bengals are at a crossroads, and the Falcons have the assets and the motivation to pull the trigger if it means elevating their roster. It's a classic case of a team in rebuild mode seeking to accelerate their timeline, and a team in contention looking to add that last piece to push over the top. If this trade happens, it could redefine the NFC South and set the stage for a new Falcons era, one where they're not just fighting for a playoff spot but pushing for Super Bowl glory. And who knows? With Chase on board, Atlanta might just become the team everyone fears in the postseason, a true aerial powerhouse capable of outscoring anyone anywhere. The stadium would become a fortress of explosive plays, and the Falcons, fans could finally see a team that embodies speed, agility, and big play potential that recalls some of the great offenses of the past. It's a bold move, no doubt, but one that could determine the Falcons' destiny for years to come. For now, we wait and watch. But one thing is for sure, if this trade goes down, it's going to be a game changer. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Atlanta Falcons news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. So Falcons fans, what do you think? Would you love to see Ja'Marr Chase in that red and black? Do you believe this move could propel Atlanta to Super Bowl greatness? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Falcons. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Atlanta Falcons news. We're in this together, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for our team. Let's keep the passion alive, and as always, Falcons for life.